Hello, America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on that AM dial. And of course, those of you that are digitally inclined, that would be WRMN1410.com. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. You're listening to a political talk show. You can find us on the internet. Again, at that same place, WRMN1410.com, or check out the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform. We've got a great show for you today. It is almost like a Free Speech Friday panel here on Monday, but we've got a treat for you. It's going to be a municipal Monday because we're going to dive into some local municipalities and the wonkiness that comes in with that. So today we're going to take a closer look at how Illinois small municipalities are managing the growing overlap between renewable energy development and intergovernmental coordination, and of course, that fiscal change that comes along with it. We'll also explore how small towns can use tools like the intergovernmental agreements, home rule authority, and other strategic planning to retain this influence to protect residents and prepare for future growth. Joining us are three respected voices in the Illinois local governance, bringing local, executive, and real-world experience to the conversation. Let's bring our panel on right now. That, of course, is going to be James Vaselli, founding partner of Vaselli Law, LLC, a seasoned municipal attorney with more than 20 years of experience advising Illinois towns and developers. We've also got Guy Zambetti, village president of Gilbert's, president of Gilbert's, one of Kane County's fastest growing municipalities. Zambetti has worked to expand services, manage economic growth, and build cooperative relationships with the surrounding governments, including Mike Reed, who's also with us here, village president of Hampshire. Mike Reed has led Hampshire since 21, previously serving as a trustee. His leadership has focused on balancing responsible growth, infrastructure expansion, and preserving Hampshire's small town identity in face of regional development. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome.
I can't believe that introduction. Holy cow.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was like, who are they talking about? Is that me?
Well, Jimmy was nice enough to give me a couple days leeway, so I was spending all weekend making sure I got that right for you guys. But first off, I haven't seen the two of you since you were being accosted by pies over at the...
That is true. That is true.
I think that was a difficult moment.
Yeah, that stuff must have been concrete, man, because as soon as that stuff dried, it was like super glue. It was terrible.
You were saying people were paying your son to...
Oh, yeah. He
to
turned
throw
on
you?
me. He turned on me quick. Quick. It's like, Dad, watch this.
Practicing. He's going to be a baseball player,
Yeah,
right?
he's gonna be something if he keeps it up, for sure.
Well, let's get into it. Illinois' renewable energy landscape has changed dramatically, especially under the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, the CEJA, and then they reshaped it again, I think, in 23. But counties have a clear authority to approve or deny commercial solar projects in the unincorporated areas, but they cannot ban or overly restrict them. That means most solar farms are built outside municipal boundaries, making them you guys as neighbors at that point, often within the village's natural growth area. This is where you would expect maybe putting some more residential, or maybe you need a new industrial side of things for your own municipalities. Jimmy, let's take it first from the legal side of everything. Is this one of those, we've got so many different overlapping jurisdictions here in Illinois that we just kind of want to make sure that everybody's voice is at the table?
Absolutely. So thank you for the kind introduction. I feel like the brown shoes and a tuxedo with these two here today. It is overlapping governance. So in Illinois law, every municipality is permitted the ability to plan for in zone for areas outside of its boundaries by 1.5 miles. And then with these changes, and CEJA did a lot of good things, but there are some things that need to be revisited, including this regulation on the renewable and clean energies, because they basically stripped municipalities of all planning and zoning authority within that area and said you get to get about 50 feet of setbacks, which is just not viable. It's just not usable for those things that you talked about. If this is part of your planning area and your planning area had new residential coming in, or those uses that you have on the outside of town that you still need for your village, it's done. It's just there's a solar farm, farmer signs 30-year lease, it's over, and you really don't have much of a say about it. So
Now, it's important to say in that same regard, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's important to say that the only industry development use case that they stripped that from is specifically solar farms.
It's just solar.
Just a solar farm. So for any other type of use, we as a municipality still have the same say we have always had in that 1.5 mile planning radius. But this was a game that was played at the state level because down south, the townships and counties were banning solar farms in general for political reasons, right? And so they changed the legislation at the state and said, hey, we're just going to make it so that the county has sole authority. But that's not also what's happening by practice is if a county says, hey, these aren't, we don't want this for whatever reason, whether it be the municipality is opposed or whatever, now the developers are even going out and suing for these things not getting approved.
absolutely, there's a ton of litigation going on, and it's causing municipalities to do things like forcibly annex properties all through there that they normally wouldn't do, or take these extreme measures.
Is that to kind of expand ahead of
Yes.
of this coming in here?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So go ahead, Guy. You were
So some of the frustration with this, like two of them that we've actually, I want to say it's won on. We went in on with Carpentersville. They were having it's going on all over around us, all over the state. We went in on one in Carpentersville. They were actually, it was on the Carpentersville side of the FPA. The strongest case that we had to push back with the county on is we had a development right at an intersection. They were looking to do it that had a developer ready to go with commercial, which commercial, from my understanding, does help them push back a little bit. As far what I got from it, residential, industrial, they don't care. They don't care that it's right next to your house or a future house. It doesn't matter. But the retail does seem to like to have a bit of a heart for. Even with that, we had to bring a developer to the county meeting saying, I'm ready to develop this commercial piece of property, and due to the solar farm here, I don't want to put it up because I think it's going to infringe on what I have going on, and it got them to push back. And that one went away. Another one that we went in for was actually being proposed on an RFPA of a commercial site. And we went into the county, it's a revolving door at the county building with these solar farm applications. Went in there, went through all the meetings, got the county to deny it, which wasn't happening all the time. Now I think they're getting a little more used to denying it, but the problem is even though you won, you lost because within months, the solar developer had the upper hand and litigated the county. What the state has done is they put the developer in the upper hand. And it's a solar developer that is not even from this region. I mean, the one that just came in now, Mike, it's from Canada.
Yep.
We're getting developers from outside this country coming in and taking what we've had as municipalities, counties, and having an upper hand in our own state.
Well, and like Jimmy was saying, is they come in with a 30-year contract
And
as
lock it
well.
up.
Right.
And you all, just as a municipality, you're working on a 100-year plan. Like you're working on what has already been growing and moving and seeing how the municipality changes. Is the real beef about this the carve out specifically for solar? If we were to say you have to operate the same as anybody else and didn't have this, not necessarily a loophole, but this, I guess, carve out for them, would that rectify some of this?
So I think that it's kind of important to understand for some of your listeners, they may not understand how planning in that works from a municipal perspective. Okay, so You have your village boundaries, your traditional village boundaries, right, or your municipal boundaries, and then you as a municipality control kind of the direction of what happens in that boundary. Then what you do is you work with your surrounding towns. Like I use Gilbert's as an example, and then like from Hampshire's perspective, we border Hampshire, Pingree. I don't think do we touch a little bit? I think we touch a little bit, but we had a border agreement, and then Elgin and Huntley, and I can go down the list. But what we've done is negotiated with our communities that said, this road here is your boundary. We're not going to cross it. You're not going to cross it.
Got it.
Right? And so we do a 20-year border agreement.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So even though our municipal boundaries are where they are, we have what they call, Gilbert's or Guy has used the terminology FPA, which stands for Future Planning Area.
Gotcha. And that's a little bit different than maybe like a township or things like
Well,
that.
correct. Well, the township exists in that area, but the municipal boundaries don't go that far.
Gotcha.
So that's what would be unincorporated.
Unincorporated.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And so that's why the angst of this conversation happens, because if there's a developer that wants to put in a subdivision, right? Let's say residential, and it's outside of the village limits. The county typically would push the developer to annex into the local municipality, okay? And same with the commercial development and that kind of stuff, because we've developed what's called a comprehensive plan, and we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in most cases that says, this is where our town is now. This is where we think it's going to go, and this is where we see the growth and development, and it's kind of like the plan. So an example would be like along Route 20 or along 47 or along 72, right up against the roadway, we'd earmark for commercial development because you know there's going to be a traffic count. So you know there's going to be retail, and people are going to see, the cars are going to drive by and stuff, and the utilities are going to be there because it's on a main route, and so then you would typically push your residential back. What's happening with this solar, as you speak to this carve out, right? What's happening is a solar developer can come in, identify a piece of property. It used to be that they'd work with a farmer for a lease, but now they're going out and purchasing plots of land on their own, and they're buying these pieces of property in where we would classify for future retail growth, future residential growth, and typically, let's just say it was a warehouse, just for conversation's sake. For a warehouse, they would do the application to the county. The county would say, have you checked with the municipality? The municipality would say, yeah, they checked with us. Here's our letter of opposition. It doesn't really fit where the plan was going. And then the county would encourage that business to find somewhere that would fit.
Gotcha.
With the solar, now this is where they want to be. I don't care what it's done to your hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of plan. I don't care what your future vision is for this property. I don't care if it's going to impact all of the properties around it for the next 30 years and dictate the zoning around it for the next 30 years, because there's a clause on every zoning that says or like use. They just get the green light to go ahead and do this, and then they can come back and sue if they don't get approval. So I think that's important for everybody to understand that that's the process, and that's why this is so detrimental.
And what's the process reversed? Here's another argument that I went down to the county with. Back before we got more refined with stuff of coming up with these agreements with each other, they used to be land grabs. It just used to be whatever community could get to that piece of property faster, annex it in, and call it theirs. That's the way it is. And that's how you got sloppy planning. That's how you got developments that shouldn't be next to each other. Schools next to whatever, landfills and stuff. That's where things got refined, and we stepped back and said, wait a minute, no more race. We're all going to work together, plan things out. And what this has caused actually is going back and reversing. Our biggest thing that we have when we take property and when we annex property, our biggest thing with negotiation with a developer is an annexation. That's the point when we'd sit down with these developers and say, no, this isn't the way this is going to go. You need to properly come in here. We're going to negotiate our impact fees. We're going to negotiate our school impact fees. You're not coming in here putting a 1,500 home development in and slapping the school with a bunch of students that they have no money for, that they don't see the taxes 2 years from now. What this has done now is all these communities are going to, because we're looking at it, forceful annexation, land grab time again. Like, keep the solar farm out of here. You're stripping us of our property tax, our future cause of development. You're telling us that the solar is good for us, but in the same sense, the biggest burden on this power grid in the most dense area, where is it? City of Chicago. But yet we have Pritzker taking ribbon cuttings out here in the suburbs. So they're getting all the tax base out of it. We're not seeing anything from that, but we're becoming the toilet. We're becoming the stuff to subsidize that.
Jimmy, is it the size of the municipality that we're kind of running into here too? Is that if, let's say, any of these municipalities had another 30,000, 40,000 people next to them, would they even be thinking about putting a solar panel this close to anybody?
It would not work that way. That's a good point. If there were more people in that area, the property would have just developed out by that point in time.
Yeah, I think there should be a distinction, though. I think that to your point, I think what you're getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, the question is if there were more people there. It has to do with the geography.
Gotcha.
Is the property developed? Okay, so we're assuming that because the property is developed or annexed in the village, that would bring more people. So like as a guy was saying, is if they forcefully annex the property around them, there may not be the people to inhabit the planning area per se, but that would be, their property would be within the village. So I don't think it's population defined. I think it has to do with the fact that the property exists within the municipal boundaries.
I'm trying to make the point of, if there were more people affected by this, then we wouldn't have the governor just kind of brushing it off, or even the state legislator kind of pushing people towards it. Now, obviously, we want down the road for more people and to have more municipalities grow. We need population growth in the United States anyway, for a plethora of other reasons. But does this affect your trajectory for population growth if solar panels, or even if anybody comes in and dictates where you guys are allowed to place anything in your municipality?
Well, I would say place specific businesses. To cherry pick the specific industries, that really hurts us.
Okay.
1,000%. Because if, as an example, we were talking about, for how many years have we been talking about truck parking and different entities trying to shove truck parking down our throats because that's where they want. So there was a big emphasis on this some years ago, because there's a lot of people with semi trucks and nowhere to park them. So they wanted to force trucking companies parking lots on us where other entities could get a per vehicle tax on that. And so it was a type of thing where they wanted that authority to push those on us. And it's the same type of thing. We're going through an issue right now with the post office. Okay, the post office wants to expand and put in a sorting facility. They also don't have to conform to the rules. And so I think that the cherry picking of the industries, I think that has to stop. It has to either be all or nothing. Don't give us the ability to plan and give the direction of our communities, but then say, oh wait, except for this. Oh wait for this. Oh wait for it. It's really detrimental.
Jimmy, does the planning have to change every single time? Laws, you almost have to put the plan in the public sphere and for everybody to see for that side too. If a developer comes in and essentially pops a big old hole in the middle of this plan, do we then have to turn around and spend another hundreds of thousands of dollars to readjust every single thing that's around there, or just that one piece that they took?
No, it's a great question, because the plan is a 5-year plan at least. When you read the literature on comprehensive plans, they say it should breathe for 5 years, and then it should start getting reviewed and maybe changed after 10. But when you have, like Mayor Reed said, someone just dumping some use that's in there, it changes the whole trajectory of the organism, right? Like, you put this thing in there, we had thought that it was going to go this way for the next 10 years, but no, there's this big thumbtack in the middle of the board that we're trying to work this through in the middle of the map. It changes the way we look at things. And to Mayor Guy's point, it is, when you go to Cook County and you ask the people at the maps department, what are the municipal boundaries? They'll tell you they don't know, because there are massive land grabs everywhere. There were just people, there were different municipalities. I've been part of it. There's been people just annexing, and it became massively chaotic. So because the legislature can be controlled by Cook County and Chicago votes that are not as affected by this, by the other counties, by the collars or the southern, south of I-80 counties, then they knew they could push this legislation through during the lame duck session. And it is what it is. And it's a real problem, but it's got to be addressed. The one good thing about the newest solar farm where there was those press releases, there are reasonable setbacks on there, which again, I am not advocating for this at all, but you'd really like to see if they are coming, and I'm sure, they've got benefits, they've got detriments, just like everything. You really need more reasonable setbacks on there so development can at least happen street side where development normally occurs to grow and allow for a trajectory of growth that we really want. I'm not opposed, I'm not for or against, but what I am saying is it's got to be done in a more rational manner.
Well, and before we head to break, I just want to ask you guys this one question because it does seem to be going that way. This isn't a we don't want these people here. We don't want development here. This is a let us negotiate it like we do with everything else. This isn't a not in my backyard type of situation. This is maybe not directly in my backyard.
Well, so in that regard, that's true from the municipal perspective, and like in the terms of this conversation. Now we all have our own independent views about how solar is and whether you think it's good or it's bad or whatever. But the noise that's come out of this, based on the rhetoric that's based on how all of this came to be, anytime you have any type of conversation about the environment, climate, different types of energy, what kind of car you drive, anybody in today's environment turns it into political, and that's just the way that it is. So what started this was a very political argument. You had communities or municipalities or townships down south that said, nope, we don't believe in it. We're going to ban it because it's not a real thing, blah, 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 very political. So then what happens? Where reaction is opposite reaction, right? Yeah. So that's what happened. And now here we are going, okay, I get what you did. I see why you did it, but it's really screwing us up here considering we're the largest growing region in the state. And that's a true statement. This area where Guy is and I am, the largest growing area in the state, and they're handcuffing us.
That's what it sounds like. We've got a great panel discussion that we're going to continue over here. We've got James Vaselli, founding partner of Vaselli Law. Go to jmvchicagolaw.com to find out more. We've also got two village presidents with us. That's right. It is Guy Zambetti, village president of Gilbert's, Illinois. And of course, we've got Mike Reed also over here. We've got some more to talk about when we come back. Don't forget to head on over to YouTube where you could re-watch anything that you missed for this broadcast as well. You're listening to WRMN. This is a political talk show. My name is Dennis Green. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to a political talk show here on WRMN. It's great to see everybody out there, especially those of you that are hopping in on the YouTube side. Don't forget that you can always shoot over messages and questions and all kinds of different things over on the YouTube chat. Good to see Illinois Mama over there. We also have Dean DeLaley, Brendan. We've got a whole bunch of people jumping in. Also, that text line's open for those of you that may be in charge of other municipalities that would like to get a word in as well. 505-926-1410. That's the one to do it. In the second hour, what we'll do is we'll also open up the phone lines and we'll see how long we can get these guys to be grilled by you all for it. No, that's fine. We've got some great people over here, as the YouTube has claimed. That, of course, is our good friends James M. Vaselli, founding partner of Vaselli Law, LLC. We've also got Guy Zambetti, village president of Gilbert's, Illinois, and also Mike Reed, village president of Hampshire, Illinois. Thanks for being here, guys. We've got some super fans sitting in the chat and everything like that for you guys,
Oh, my
too.
goodness. Who do we got?
Well, Dean DeLaley, of course, is going to give you great accolades because
I'm surprised he let us back in after last time.
That's very true. We've also got big hugs and high fives saying hello to you guys. We've also got Illinois Mama saying that Mike and Guy are such great men to be leading their communities.
That's great.
That's why they got voted in. How much longer do you guys have for it? A couple more years?
3.5, right? We just got elected.
Why put a time limit? on it?
Yeah. I can tell you, I got an expiration date. That's for sure. You could stay as long as you want.
Well, it's great to have you guys here. We're talking about a couple things municipality-wise that you guys wanted to talk about. And let's talk about the not in my backyard that a lot of people seem to have for certain things, whether it is I've heard people say, I don't want low-income housing in my area. I don't want to necessarily bring another school district, or maybe even can't we find a better place to put our garbage? There's a lot of different things that you guys have to juggle with just running a city and making sure that it is healthy. We can turn around and say all day, well, you know what? Let's bring in everything that we possibly can, corporate-wise and everything else. But who's going to educate anybody? Okay, so we got to balance that. Where are they going to shop? What are they going to do? So it's an ecosystem you guys are balancing here. How does solar industry affect your ecosystem? Guy, I'll let you go first.
Well, it's interesting. I do have a lot of our residents coming back to us saying, we don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are some that feel like it's good for the environment and all these other
That they want it in general, right?
Correct. They believe in green energy. And you know what? My point to back up with is my argument's not to have whether I feel green energy is good or it's bad. A lot of these same people that believe in the green energy, they like green energy, they're the same ones. As soon as I get a solar farm developer application in our general area, they go, where is it going in relation to my house? The way it's set up right now, you don't have that luxury. You don't have, I like green energy, but not really over here. No, it's green or it's not. That's where we're at. So where this affects us and where my argument and fight and where maybe other communities would be with this, why us? Instead of saying, looking at it as not in my backyard, my question is, how many other backyards is it in? Why did our governor have to come out to our area to take a picture with a solar farm? We just saw that he was in the city of Chicago for how long? He's been on the news on a regular basis. How many solar farms out there that we took pictures with? Why did they maximize their potential of property tax, sales tax, all these other sources of income that come into this fine city? And then meanwhile, we're struggling to find ways to come up with funding that some that we get a lot of things put on us, these unfunded mandates, all over the place.
Pension obligation.
And meanwhile, we at the end of the year, we're coming up with balanced budgets, reporting our balanced budgets, and have to find a way to neutralize this out. And now we're getting the burden of we're sticking a solar farm right where you plan to put these developments.
Is it a return on investment for the municipality that just is delayed for so long, or will you never see a return?
Oh, we don't see anything out of it.
It never gets annexed in. Our FPA future planned area stays unincorporated county. It never gets annexed. Well, I shouldn't say never, whatever the term is, 20 years, 30 years on it. We won't see anything till that. But once you miss that boat of development, once your infrastructure's tapped off, 30 years later, you might have missed your opportunity.
Yeah.
It's more of the but we talked a little bit about or like use. So that piece of property gets developed as a solar farm, and there's a 30-year lease in a lot of times. So everything around it is dictated by that use, because as it is right now, all it is farm field. And so the amount of tax that's generated, property tax that's generated off of a farm is a lot different than if it was developed even residential, commercial, that kind of stuff. Ideally, a municipality's favorite type of use from a property tax perspective are large buildings, warehouses and industry and that kind of stuff. because they are a large building, so they pay a significant portion of the real estate or property tax, but they don't require a lot of services. As opposed to residential, where you get the property tax, yeah, there's 4 houses on 1 acre, let's say, right, on an average. But there's also people living there, so they'll put a use on your water, sewer, police, fire, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay, so but the commercial retail doesn't fit everywhere, right? So that's where the plan comes in, because you can't just have a whole bunch of warehouses in the middle of everything. But when these things come in, they blow a hole through all that. And like the the solar farm that was just put out in Hampshire, where where Guy was referencing in our area, was agreed to in 2019. It was leased by the farmer, so it was his choice. He still owns the property, is my understanding. It was his choice to lease to this company, but they lease it and then they use that power for their subscribers.
Gotcha.
So
Not for the general area.
right. So the press release said that it was like 600 low-income housing and a whole bunch of other industry and all this other stuff. None of that stuff's out by us.
Mm-hmm.
So it offsets the grid total, total for the entire state, but it's not like because the panels are there that a percentage of that energy comes our way.
Well, let's go to the resident semantics expert here, Jimmy Vaselli. Is it because it's called a farm? What if we actually called it a solar industry? What if we actually called it what it was and actually regulated it as such?
I think it's a great euphemism to call it a farm, because a farm is a passive use. A farm is something that we want. It's a country that's born of farmers, right? So, but I do think that that's a euphemism to call it a farm, and I think that's a way to make it more passive. When you look at growth planning, to put this use that essentially serves, if you want to stop growth from coming, you put an obnoxious use in between 2 converging growth patterns, and you break it up. And that's what's happening here. You're not, the mayors were talking, they're making very good points about how there's a unified plan for development, not only in the comprehensive plans, but amongst these municipalities because they come to an agreement. Well, that breaks. All of these plans break up at a larger scale, at a more macro scale, because there's this roadblock. It's like putting a highway between a residential development, and it just ends it. And let's go back to 2 points that were made before. Number one, who's benefiting from this? Glencoe. And Glencoe's great, beautiful town, been there many times. But it's not here. If it was here, maybe it'd be a little bit more palatable. I'm not saying it would be palatable or not, but it might be a little bit more palatable.
Glenview Park District was
Glenview Park District
was on the list.
I apologize.
Oh,
That's
no, I thought it was another use.
Yeah.
I apologize.
But it's not here. It's not King County. So that's number one. Number two, why is there such a need for energy? It's for big data centers that are coming in.
Yep.
There's more requests for energy that has came out in the last 2 years from data centers than there was for the first 100 years for power plants from Commonwealth Edison. Thomas Edison, not a coincidence. So what you really need is these are big corporations that are pushing these things through that don't take into account this plan for development for the natural growth of communities. And I have a problem with that from a policy perspective.
Guy, big industry needs big land. The only place to get big land is smaller rural areas that maybe the municipality might not have the resources or the size to fight back. What do we do with this? Is it supposed to be regulations within the state? Is the state doing enough for you?
That's where my frustration sets in. That's where my frustration sets in, because the best source that we have as municipalities, that's why I'm here. The best source that we have, the biggest contact we would have is our state legislatures and our governor. But that's not happening. Like, I have to say, our local legislatures have been very supportive. They've been behind us. They've listened to us. But there's only so far they could go.
Well, let's
and
be
it's
real.
very frustrating when I'm watching, and we've actually gone down to Springfield and asked for some of these modifications to be made, and all I'm seeing is the news, we're having battles for the presidency.
Yeah. Well,
And meanwhile, here comes another solar farm. My community right now, as an example, we have one going right in the middle, right at the edge of our development, of the developed area of our community. We have an application going in that we really have no way that we're able to deny this application. They go on the property right behind it. They just cut us off from ever expanding west. our infrastructure, our water mains, our sanitary mains will be cut off, and we have no way to expand
And that's
because
the
we
edge-
can't go through those.
That's now the edge of Gilbert.
Yes, and now they call this a farm. Now, any of these agricultural applications that we have, a farm could get turned around like nothing. Within a few years, you could develop that property. You will not be doing this, especially off of these subsidized panels that are being stuck on that property that have 20, 30-year lock-ins.
Should I call anything a farm that's not a food, Mike?
I mean, it's 2025. You can do what you want. So, I mean, it's really frustrating as you talk about like where do you go? Where do we go for resources, right? And I know we want to talk about other like revenue problems and stuff like that, but like it bridges a line of it is not a political problem, meaning that the solar panels and energy should not be a political conversation, but the state has turned it into one. Just like everything else, the state has turned it into one.
Because it's
Like,
a numbers game
so-
at that
so-
point. We put so many farms in. We're
Well, no,
generating
I'm
so
going.
much renewable energy
I'm going for the fact.
state.
I'm going for the fact that we can't go anywhere for help,
Mm.
and I mean that by, I mean my state senator and my state representative are fantastic people. You
Yep.
pick up the phone, you call, they listen, they'll see what they can do with this and that, but they are in the super minority.
Mm.
Our area has elected people from a party that the state doesn't have to listen to. And they make it clear and evident. And it's really funny because when Michael Madigan got indicted and he got and he went to prison and all this other stuff, you had all of these lawmakers that went downstate and said, that is unconscionable, we need to do better, this, that, and the other thing. But yet they still operate out of the rule book from 2017 that was passed by the guy that just went to jail last week. And because of that, they don't need to listen. So this is the area with all of the growth, but it's represented by people that the majority party in Springfield doesn't have to listen to. So it puts all of our residents at a disadvantage, but yet we are supposed to be the peacemakers, and that's our job. We got elected to serve all of our people, right? And so we try to do a really good job of representative and take our views out of it. Guy and I try, and I'm not going to speak for Guy, but Guy and I try all the time to take, this is how we think, but this is what's going to be best for the community.
Jimmy, let's go a little bit further out from that. Has national affected state so much that it is now affecting local?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't, not much of an explanation for that, but yeah, absolutely. There's no way that the national politics trickle down through people running for higher office is affecting localities, and that's a real problem.
Because it's supposed to be the state legislator that's doing this, but
Right.
gerrymandering affects even the state legislator.
Gerrymandering is the single worst thing that has happened to any state, or including Illinois. And if you want to say this state's gerrymandered, they're all gerrymandered, okay? But, everyone saw the Colbert episode. I don't need to go through it again, but we are, we accuse, but our front porch is also full of snow. So we really is, and that's why the supermajority controls. And to President Reed's point, it's not only they don't even listen to the other party, right? We know what we're talking about, but they won't even take a vote unless they know they have enough to pass.
But
on-
it's 60, right? That's the
It's
rule.
60,
And you,
yeah.
in order to have any type of legislation brought to the floor, you need to have 60 supporters. And it's not 60 supporters in general, it's 60 supporters of the
yes.
of the majority party.
Oh my goodness.
Before it even touches the
before
floor.
it touches the floor. So
Wow. So this is even getting into a parliamentarian type of procedural side of it. And even then, that's where we saw Newt Gingrich, and we also saw Nancy Pelosi, and we even see some of the other people that are out there that they won't even bring anything to the floor if they don't have the 60 votes to beat the supermajority, or the filibuster rather. So is this where you two are just getting caught in the minutia of everything? And I guess where's the bigger bullhorn? Where is the look at us more? Do we have to just wait until it gets so bad that it's not just you guys going to the Capitol? It's you with a group of your constituents going with you as well? I mean, where do we get the, hey, come and listen to me?
Well, I honestly don't have a great answer for that. The difficult part as a village president you have people from both sides of the fence here, Republican, Democrat, that you represent in the community, like Mayor Reed said. And I tried my hardest to let's keep the parties out of it, even though it might be a political discussion. I don't like to turn it into this is because the Democrats or because the Republicans. Because to be honest with you, I've had local state reps that are Democratic that have went down to the county with us and represented us. And they spoke for us. But off of what Mayor Reed said, there's just not enough of them to turn it over. They understand what we're saying. They agree with what we're saying. I don't know if it's more of, I don't know how much more this builds is, hey, listen, we're two local mayors. We don't really care about your Republican Democrats stuff going on. There's a problem here. We're saying there's a problem, and we're reaching out. We reached out, Governor, help us on this. I don't care about what you're doing, what you're going down to the city to do. We have a problem here within your state that you can help us on.
Right,
And you're not doing it.
And so when I attended the ribbon cutting that was referenced in our community, it was an opportunity. I viewed it as an opportunity to meet one-on-one with the governor of our state and say, hey, we have an issue. Great. Governor Pritzker was very kind. He was apathetic. He wanted to know what he could do to help fix this. He gave us contact information for somebody in his office. We're working through Metro West Council of Government to try to put language through. He seemed like he was going to take an issue and say, okay, let's see how we can make this better. However, this was also said in March when you went down with Metro West and sat in his office with how many other mayors. I was supposed to be there. I was sick, so you went down without me. But you had that same conversation in March, and here we are.
Well, let me tell you, and this is why I was irritated when that happened. And I was talking to you about this. How do you think? Well, I know you know how I think.
I know.
We went down there with March and sat in his chamber with him and talked face to face, asking for help. And he heard what we said. He agreed he'll look into some stuff. And meanwhile, months later, he's doing a ribbon cutting. That's a slap in the face.
In a different
in our backyard. In our backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what do? So you're a sitting mayor of the community. The governor comes out. You have to go visit. You go, right?
Yeah.
Because how many opportunities are you going to have that conversation? And then to have 15, 20 minutes. Mr. Pacelli, you were there.
15, 20 minutes. And he was very cordial about it. And the Mayor Reed did a very nice job of addressing the issue. It said it'd be brought through. We're going to produce language for that. We just got to make sure something happens because so far it hasn't. And that's the disappointing part.
We've also got Mary Kay sitting in the chat as well. She is the mayor over at Burlington. We really appreciate her being in too. Illinois Mama says, I'm a resident of Penry Grove who is very thankful to have these two guys in my neighboring communities. Other people jumping in, and it seems like this is almost a local side of not necessarily they're going to frame it as a power grab. They're going to frame it as well, you don't want people and you don't want development, as they always do. But this seems more of a give us back control of what you gave us control of before.
I wouldn't even say that it's give us back control. It's give us the same control, one, that we had. I agree with that, but give us the same control you give us over every other use.
Gotcha.
Like pulling one out because somebody else was. It's like punishing the whole class because one kid was being disruptive.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Down south, they didn't want it. They were playing games. Okay, I get it. They don't believe in it. Okay, that's a different conversation. Okay, you as an elected official, you need to sometimes pull your own beliefs out of it and then, do what's best for your community. So if they were approaching it from that angle, if this isn't going to be from our community, who am I to judge them? But when you're playing the games that I know that were being played down there, and now the state has said, okay, all right, everybody out of the pool.
Well, it's almost like it seems to be our government turns around and says, well, if it's too hard to regulate something, we'll just pull the regulation and see what it goes. It almost seems to be, instead of actually doing the job, and this is where I always shake my finger and wag or whatever at Congress, is that's their job. Their job is to not leave these massive holes in legislation. Their job is to quickly close them up unless they're being used. Do you think that there is something in this outside of just this is where the lobbying and everything else starts coming in for this side? Is this loophole open on purpose?
Yes.
I think yes.
There's certain people that want it and they don't care what you have to say. They want it. That's it. Like there's no like, oh, it's a misunderstanding. There's a lot of things that we've seen before us that you want it bad enough, we'd be surprised how quickly things change over. I mean,
True.
Yeah, and it goes the same with some of the funding stuff. And I know we wanted to talk about grocery, but I'm looking at the clock, and we're
That's
going to
okay,
get
we
we're
can.
going to get into this subject, and then we're going to have to go into the break. But you want to talk about that? I mean, the governor during his budget address, I was in the speakers gallery when he announced this, and it caught us all off guard that he said he was repealing the grocery tax. The grocery tax goes directly to the general fund of the municipality where that business resides, and it didn't. There was no part of that tax that went to the state government. Zero, none. And then he decided he was going to pull it because then it would be a good win for him and his party, and then left us holding the bag, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And gave you the option to, you could just put your own in there, right?
Right? Yeah.
You can take the beat.
When we come back, we've got the municipal Monstars here for the
Oh boy.
for the area. I'm trying, the alliteration's eluding me. So Municipal Monday, that's what we've got going on here with Mayor Mike Reed, Mayor Guy Zambetti, and the municipal lawyer for both of these municipalities, James Vaselli. Thank you
Close
very
enough.
much. Close enough. Well, my municipal
subtract one.
lawyer, you know.
Subtract one. He's a,
At least half.
We'll have Mary Kay fill in the blank.
my attorney's
At
going to be on the
Britain's
horn.
Touchless Car Wash. Thank you.
She's gonna be,